Hello everyone. So this video is about the governance and social justice questions asked in the previous year main examination, of course, happened and held in this year itself. The last video that I made for the polity questions that were 9 in numbers, I think 15 days back, with the promise that I will be making video for governance and social justice. The relevancy of making this video this time, and which is just 16 days before this year mains examination are to be held from 16 September. The relevancy for the aspirants giving this year main examination comes from this fact that the questions are of previous year, but of course the content in it I have borrowed it from the current affairs. So for example, in governance you're talking about education, you're talking about health, you're talking about civil society. So the development related to the months gone by are very much relevant, because governance is nothing related to the conventional very much. Say for example 20% only the conventional thing, but 80% or more is current developments. So is the social justice when it comes to the women, old age, children, reservation. So not wasting time further, what we can do that we can see the questions. First we will be seeing the outlook, the topics from which the question has been asked, and also we will be then going for particular question and content in it. My advice is that whatever content I am covering here, you please make a note of it, and also the PDF that I am attaching into the description box, you please download it. If anything is missing while seeing the video, you have the PDF of the same screen that is there behind me, so you can have the reference also later on while revising the things, because 16 days time is not a time wherein you can have new things, but yes, only the revision. So let's start. The outlook of all the questions related to the governance. The questions are there in front of you and we can see them. The bold portion is there in the slide so that you can just pinpointedly identify what area of the syllabus is related to a particular question. So we are seeing that question number 5 of GS paper 2, pressure groups play a vital role in influencing the public policy making in India. So public policy making in India, pressure groups and business association contribute to public policies. This question was to be written in 150 marks, 150 words, sorry. So the motivation behind asking this question was, of course, the farmers bill controversy, which stalled some of the states, especially Haryana and Punjab, and some of the prominent personality like Ticket, we all know through the media and all. So this was the basic, motivation. Now, second question is related to the sustainable development and primary health structure. So when we talk about PHCs, primary health centers, ASHA, ASHA means accredited social health activist. So when we are talking about last mile connectivity, the village, the medical facility there, we have to understand it. We might have heard in Delhi, Mohalla Clinic is also part of sometimes primary healthcare centers. But the problem is that doctor is there or not, whether the doctor is able to cater the need, what is the ratio of doctor and population in India, and what is to be there. Okay, so all these things we'll be discussing here. Now, third question is talking about earn while you learn scheme, which is related to and it is need to be strengthened to make the vocational education and skill training meaningful. So Modi ji is talking about, Khelo India, inclusion of the sports curriculum in the school education books and making it part, basically the practical, what you are having as the play, which is very much interesting domain for you guys as a child. So it is good, but earn while you learn, it is sometimes related to the tourist sector also. Atithi Devo Bhava, Padharo Mare Desh. So when it comes to extracurricular activities, but then it comes to the sustenance of our expenses when we are studying. Can we do that? Here in India, we are allocating full time to our study. But when it comes to US, Western society, you will not be you should not be surprised that some of the people are having education, like especially degree programs, and are having part-time job too, right? So Spider-Man movie, you can recall that the person was studying and part-time job was also done. Then we can see another question: can the vicious cycle of gender inequality, poverty, malnutrition be broken through microfinancing of women self-help groups? Explain with examples. This is also of 150 words, 10 marks. So women self-help group and microfinancing of women self-help group. Basically, the aim behind of microfinancing to them: gender inequality, poverty, and malnutrition eradication. So it is very, very important. The first agency in family to impart learnings to a child is, of course, mother, generally. Okay. So this question is related to gender inequality that we are having. So gender empowerment measure, GEM, we talk in economy, and the index, the the index which talks about equality, we have to look at. So we'll be seeing the content related to it when we are discussing the question. Now the next question here is about the digital illiteracy, particularly in rural area, coupled with lack of information and communication technology accessibility, hindered social economic development. Examine with justification. So basically, when we have taken computer to a village area, but electrification is not there, or continuous electricity is not there, or power backups are not there, this is another problem. Then internet connectivity is not there, then it is another big problem. So when we are talking about digital connection to the last mile, the villages, then we also talk about connection of panchayat to the district level and to the center and to the state headquarters, that we have not done. So we have to look at various policies and programs that Government of India has initiated to digitize the nook and corners of this country, right? So the citizens are to be made what is called as netizens. Okay. Now, next question is talking about, though women in post-independent India have excelled in various fields, the social attitude towards women and feminist movement has been patriarchal. This is first part of the question. Second part of the question is saying that apart from women education and women empowerment schemes, what intervention can help change this mile? So it is of 250 words, 15 mark question. So whatever the movement related to the women empowerment, these are patriarchal in nature. It makes me to recall certain expressions called as Pati Parmeshwar is also Panch Parmeshwar or Panchayat Parmeshwar. So the woman is actually elected one in the Panchayat, in the village assembly election, but on behalf of her husband is looking after everything. So this you will be seeing when it comes to the reservation of women and Panchayat. So in the name of women, they have won the election, and actually it was all done for the male member of society, especially the husband. So this is one thing. And also, if you talk about reforms related to women at the workplace, the Vishaka guidelines and all the things having imprint of the psychology that is practiced in country like India, the developing country, and also the least developed countries. But it is not that developed countries are far away from this problem. It is there in France, in US, in Europe. You'll be looking at it. The next question is talking about the civil society and NGO present an alternative model of public service delivery to benefit the common citizen. Discuss the challenges of this alternative model. So 250 words, 15 mark. So civil society and NGO present an alternative model of public service. Of course, conventionally it has been accepted that executive, legislature, and judiciary. These are the conventional three pillars of democracy. Fourth being the media, and fifth being the civil society and NGO. There are two questions related to NGO and civil society: the pressure group, business association, and this last question, 18th question, right? So this is the outlook of governance and social justice related questions. The questions are not very difficult, open-ended questions. The answer will be different for last year, and answer is different for this year, and answer will be different for next year for the same question here you are seeing. And after 16 days, you will be seeing that the questions asked this year too are not very different from the questions here in front of your screen, right? So if we talk about the first question, we have to go fast because the duration of the video should not go, primarily I think that should not go beyond 90 minutes, should not go beyond 60 minutes too sometimes. So between 60 minutes to 90 minutes the duration should be. Question 5 is saying that pressure groups play a vital role in influencing public policy making in India, and explain how the business associations contribute to public policies. So directly when we talk about the content that is to be used in the exam while writing the answer, because different use of the same information that every candidate, every aspirant is having, makes one topper and make one person average or make one person a failure, right? So use of information diligently, innovatively, nobly makes one person suitable candidate. So the term pressure groups originated in USA. This is one content. This is also called as safety valve outlet and voice of the people. Why? Because when there is a pressure in pressure cooker, there is a safety valve outlet, right? Pressure cooker की सीटी थोड़ी देर के लिए बजती है फिर शांत हो जाती है. Because any reform, any legislation, any initiative of the government is bringing some change and some problem will be taking place. Be it GST, demonetization, or any other reform, like the farmer bills also. So if we are not aligning Article 19(1)(a) of Indian Constitution to mushroom, media will not be able to function independently. People will not be able to protest, to say their voice openly. And for this, the organizations are made, and some of the organizations are called as pressure groups, and in that business associations too. So safety valve outlet, it is for the government, because if it is not allowed, then there will something big happening in democracy, which is very much, negative for Indian democracy, denting the prospects heavily. Now there is another words, demos clauses. What is the meaning of this word if I am correctly pronunciating it? The government progressive inability to accomplish anything substantial is often the worst side effect of the interest group activism. Basically, when public policy paralysis is talked about, so paralysis of something means very much restrictions has been imposed or coming directly or indirectly to anything that we want to apply. You are preparing for civil services, you have made the strategy, there are certain bottlenecks, there are some areas which are restricting you within yourself, right? It's not that someone is disturbing you from outside, you have disturbance from within. Maybe your sickness is one of the factors disturbing you. There are other things that the areas which have not been covered are disturbing you. Sometimes your handwriting is disturbing you. The same way, when we talk about public policy, in public policy, the inflation is disturbing. When government has made some strategy, the global effects are coming from war front or the adjacent countries disturbance or all of a sudden earthquake. So many things are there, and when we execute certain big plans like Indo-US nuclear deal was there in 2007-8, many environmentalists came heavily on the government. Even the majority was in question mark of the government. right? That time CPI withdrew the support and government had to seek support from the other political party. And not only this, the local civil society or the pressure groups were funded by the neighboring countries. So this was another big issue with the country like India, that how to have balance between Article 19(1)(a) with the reasonable restrictions on it, right? So, for example, putting Section 144 to curb the gatherings at a particular place. Okay. Now, when we look at the organizations, the pressure groups in India, these are the types that we are having for the pressure groups. Just to have an idea, the examples are there in front of you. I will not be going for the particular one because to an extent it is a factual information and you must be knowing better than what I have shown it here. So the business groups, so you might have heard about FICCI, right? You might have heard about ASSOCHAM. These are basically registered as NGOs. These are the business groups. These groups are having collective voice to be told to the government that what actually the business in India wants, right? Then we talk about the trade union. The example of trade union is All India Trade Union Congress, AITUC, Indian National Trade Union Congress, Hind Mazdoor Sabha. You might have heard this name, Hind Mazdoor Sabha, for the kind of pedestrian walk of kilometers in 100 from one state to another state to Delhi, right, to express their voice at the place called as Jantar Mantar from the adjacent state like Rajasthan and MP. So when we are talking about country like India, agrarian society, more than 70% economy directly or indirectly is dependent on agriculture. We cannot ignore them. So we have to hear them through the effective means. So trade union is one. Professional group like Indian Medical Association, Bar Council of India. You know that Indian Medical Association NEET exam controversy was there. As and when appointments of doctor or any medical negligence and exploitation of the patient or of the doctor is there, then this body is coming up. Then we talk about Bar Council of India. When the arbitration is found in the judicial processes, maybe the last CJI was having the arbitration in the judicial processes, then this body was taking up the issues. Many of the prominent cases have been taken up by Bar Council of India. For example, NJAC issue, National Judicial Appointment Commission. So there were other cases, but one case was put by Bar Council of India too. It's a council or body wherein all the lawyers are member of it, right? Now, agrarian group, when we talk about All India Kisan Sabha, Bharatiya Kisan Union. So basically trade union and agrarian group, the difference is that it can be related to any particular trade or business, whereas agrarian society is primarily related to the agriculture. Okay. Now the student organization, if we talk about the example that Akhil Bharatiya Vidya Parishad ABVP, NSUI also, AISF. You might have heard about the protest when in Delhi 4-year program, undergraduate program was introduced to have parity between Indian education system, especially degree point, and whatever the degree duration in the other countries. So the demand was coming from other countries that why 3 years or why for engineers 4 years? Why can't they can be put in the uniform phases, the semester systems, and 4-year duration at least. So the protest was there. What will happen to the existing student? What will happen to the students who have given the exam? They will not be allowed. So they should again opt for the 4-year degree programs. So there were many vital questions. When we talk about the religious groups, so Vishwa Hindu Parishad, Jamaat-e-Islam, so Ram Mandir issue was there in the offing. Many of the religious groups you might have heard in the media or might have read about them. When we talk about caste group, the Harijan Sevak Sangh, Nagar Caste Association, many other castes like Hindu, Christianity, Muslim, right? There are sects in them. So Jainism is there, Buddhism is there, you know, Thakur Sabha is also there. So Rajput. So we talk about other Hindu sects. When we go to every nook and corner of UP and Bihar, especially, you will be finding very small bodies. Jaiswal Sabha also. Linguistic group, if we talk about Tamil Sangh, Andhra Mahasabha. Andhra Mahasabha is a very old body. The first state in India in 1953 was formed on the basis of language, right? So the language sentiment is there and the protest is there. Telangana was made, it was internal issue. But when they talk about the new state, like for example, Naga Ho Ho, if they talk about in Northeast. So all these states have been formed in India so far on the basis of language. It's one of the main factor. But the other factor government talks about are related to the socio-economic planning, which is not that vital issue. Politicization of this issue has made things further worsening. So Uttarakhand, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand was made in the year 2000. So there are protests which make parliament to hear their voice. Now, the tribal groups, when we talk about the National Socialist Council of Nagaland, Tribal National Volunteers, Naga Ho Ho, right? So, tribals, when Schedule 5, Schedule 6, the protection is not given to them, then they make hue and cry, right? So, these are the examples and types of the associations that you are having. But in that pressure group and business association, I have gone far beyond for the last question of this slide, that the first slide I have shown to you for the civil society and NGOs. So for a general understanding that is to be put for this year question asked in GS paper 2 especially, you may use them, right? Now, if we talk about the previous slide, so basically characteristics of a pressure group is based on, because this slide has been used so as to give you an idea that the same thing you can make as a flow chart. It is more appealing for the evaluator and he or she is able to understand it clearly. Based on certain interest, use of modern as well as traditional means. Modern means use of Twitter, right? Use of technology to reach the people, right? And conventional means road को रोकना है, right? Train को रोकना है, buses में आग लगानी है. So these are not the ways that are to be used. Then represent changing consciousness, because change is to be there. Like in gender, if we talk about male, female, then there is a third gender also, LGBT. They have also their own voice. We have to hear them. So different time, so different conscience, right? Now we talk about inadequacies of political parties. Political parties are registered parties and contesting election on the basis of manifesto, the promises that they are making to the people. But when we talk about pressure groups, they are complementing sometimes. And any and every political party sometimes is having a particular pressure group. For example, ABVP that we were seeing is more related to the government of the day, right? We cannot use this thing, but it is, I'm telling just for a general understanding, okay? Now, resulting out increasing pressure and demands on resources. So basically, when population is more and many demands are coming, so ek anar 100 बीमार, there has to be a fight. Survival of the fittest will be there as part of the Darwinian philosophy. Of course, the pressure will be coming, and so the pressure groups are there. Now, if we talk about the content related to the question, the techniques used by the pressure groups. So for example, I have dropped the word lobbying. Lobbying word is used in US. The business associations are making one group to win in the election. There are two political party system. Now persuading public officers to adopt and enforce the policies that they think will prove most beneficial to their interest. The line is very much in parity with what development we are seeing in J&K today, that many people have resigned, right, from Congress. The the ex-chief minister too, right, Ghulam Nabi Azad ji. The names you need not to write in the answers, but just for an understanding, I'm telling it to you. This is the development of the day. I was hearing the news today. So when you are talking about the revision of voters in list in J&K, and they think that they all people will come in minority when the majority is allowed there who are residing, including the army personnel posted there. So they feel otherwise. So that is what happening. But last but not the least, I will say education and health, two fundamental pillars, two fundamental points for women, for children, for old people. They must be seen on the priority. And this J&K area has not addressed the demands coming from women, from children, from old people, right? Now, the other things are electioneering, placing favorable person in public office to promote their interest. Of course, puppet people, personalities are placed. So the post of president is also having defame, that why it is called as rubber stamp. So is the appointment of governor is always under the controversy. So is the appointment of LG, and the CM today in Delhi is having lots of problem, that it is indirectly done by the government of the center for the political reasons. Maybe CBI raid, right? For the bus issue, for the irregularities related to the infrastructure made in the school. So everything is there, maybe connected to the political reason or otherwise it may be true. So propagandizing, influencing public opinion and gaining an indirect influence over government. So you might have heard about something called as ghost writing. So sometimes when the artificial deliberate interest are there to convince the people, to wash their mind, to make their mind to think towards a point, particular point, which is favoring one political party is done. So these are the mass movement. Lots of money is spent on the social movement through especially the social media route, Facebook, Twitter, everything is used for political reason today. Now, if we talk about the the difference between pressure group and political party, it is also very important. In one or two line you can, in defining or while defining pressure group, you may put such line that political parties are the necessarily registered bodies, they are having the manifesto, and they are necessarily contesting elections. But when we talk about pressure groups, these are sometimes registered, not registered group of people related to a particular business, having the voice related to the grievances that they have not been given certain facilities and they are in problem, right? So aims, entity, membership, election, accountability, these are the broad caps I have put. So exerting influence, acquiring power, it is informal, right? uh, Not recognized entity, formal, open and recognized entity. So in the technical way I have done that. The PDF will be there available with you, but in the running line, if you are having difference between these two, it will really be good. A spark is to be created while writing the answer. Articulation is very, very important. Okay. Now, when I talk about the next question, I think that was sufficient for the first question. The next question is about the primary health structure, which is necessary precondition for sustainable development. It has to be analyzed. See, you talk about the top, tertiary, and the primary one. It is very, very important to have the last mile connectivity. Maybe doctor is not available, but certain infrastructure is available wherein patient can go from the village that this problem I am having. Doctor is missing, infrastructure is missing. The normal first aid kit is also not available, that we can just save a life. Okay. Now, certain facts that you can use this year also, that India's expenditure on healthcare sector was earlier 1.2, and in recent year it has been, you can say, 2.5% of GDP. Now you need to just see this, that from 2.5 to 4% we have seen because of National Health Policy NHP, and actually the level should not be below 2.5%, and earlier it was 1.2. And the second issue with the health sector is out of pocket expenditure. In short, I can write OOPE. This expression you have to drop. Why? Because not only the medicine, but the person, lodging and boarding, the food, particular food like fruits or any expensive food one is eating along with the medicine, has not been addressed so far. And this is called as OOPE, which is sometimes more than the expenses incurred for the doctor consultation, for the medicine. These problems here in India or anywhere else, we find these problems are lifestyle diseases, and these are having lifestyle solution apart from the medicine, and lifestyle related treatments are very much inclusive of what is called as OOPE, out of pocket expenditure. Now, Jan Arogya Yojana and then Ayushman Bharat Yojana, you have to cite. I will be seeing it in detail. Then Uttar Pradesh, there is one open PHC for every 28 village. It is just a very, very, very surprising factor that there are 28 villages and you have one primary health care sector. This you need to cite in the answer writing because this is the demand of the question. And health is a state subject. This is another fact. If I talk about other factors that are to be used, that the massive shortage of medical staff infrastructure is that to that extent that doctor population ratio is one doctor is available for 1800 or per 1800 people, and 78% doctors cater to urban India, and then rest of the rural India, which is larger than urban India, only and only you can say this is 22%. Now, where are you heading to? Why doctors are not going to the villages? Because doctors have acquired, you can say, the MBBS one. They just need to have normal infrastructure so that they can also survive, right? If a bus can be designed for celebrity to stay at a place, to sleep on road with all AC intact, with all good food intact, can it not be done for a doctor? That a bus can be designed for the institutional deliveries. A bus can go to a village, can be parked there for a month, and only the fuel is required, and necessary arrangement can be there for a doctor. One doctor, I will say very good doctor, can change entire village. Not only the medical thing, but the forward and backward linkages. The forward linkage is that the kind of prospective lifestyle one needs to have, what is to be eaten, at what time is to be eaten, and in what format it's to be eaten, can be told by a doctor, and you are not sick then. You are just preventing or delaying your sickness. For natural reason it may be there, but you cannot, or you are not inviting your sickness. This is what doctor can do very much as part of counseling. Now, second thing is that massive shortages in the supply of services, that human resources, hospitals, diagnostic centers in the private public sector, which are made worse by grossly inadequate availability between and within states. So distribution of things, the diagnostic machines, if not in every village, but there has to be a center in between of group of villages, that CT scan, X-ray, these all things are to be made available because doctor needs reports of the patient. Then if we talk about that a well-placed state such as Tamil Nadu, which is known for the hub of the medical education, right? 30% shortage of medical and non-medical, that is paramedical staff, professional in the government facilities. 30%. Can we not recruit sufficient doctors and paramedicals in the state like Tamil Nadu? What are you thinking about the cow states like the north states, especially UP and Bihar? Then we talk about 61% primary healthcare center have just one doctor, while nearly 7% are functioning without any. You need to note it. You need to just cite it. And I can guarantee that these all information will be used by the aspirant writing main this year. Then 33% of PHCs do not have a lab technician, 20% don't have a pharmacist. So पता चला कि कुछ और दवाई डॉक्टर ने लिखी है और कुछ और दवाई आपको मिल गई. ऐसा पहले होता था. आज की डेट में प्रिंटेड भी फॉर्मेट होते हैं, लेकिन उसके बाद भी एक्सपायरी डेट के साथ में दवाई मिल जाती है. एंड दिस इज ऑल हैपनिंग बिकॉज illiteracy is there. We are believing blindly, not only the doctor, maybe he is correct 99.9%, but what about pharmacist? What about other medical staff? So the value system is also to be taken care of. In a state like Odisha, more than 3,000 government posts for the doctors are falling vacant, and about 50% of all government medical doctors posts are lying vacant, which is just really not good. Health and education cannot be ignored. If a country needs to be a developed one, these two things are to be addressed. Now in the union budget, right, Jan Arogya Yojana was allocated a budget more than 64,000 crore. Yes, we are having prospective thing that is to be mentioned. And 63 lakh people have received free treatment under Ayushman Bharat. But to what extent it is true, as part of the report, you need to just check it. I mean, not you, but as part of the analysis, you need to put one line here that there are the artificial cosmetic effect given to the report, or it is very much true. In the union budget 2020-21, Government of India allocated 3,000 crores for Pradhan Mantri Swasthya Suraksha Yojana. So these all information is there from the current months, and I have filtered it out. Basically, my team has done that. I have other analysis to be put, and they have asked me to use the slides, not to go on the open board to write at my own, which is my conventional method of teaching. But anyway, change is prospective, we can follow that. Now there is another question, that earn while you learn scheme needs to be strengthened to make vocational education and skill training meaningful. You have to comment the 150 words, 10 mark. So I have just covered the bullet point. The Ministry of Tourism, student volunteers, 20 days course period is there in earn while you learn, basically for the tourist. And demographic dividend means the youth bracket of the population. It is to be used for the meaningful purposes. The vocational training is provided by the Kaushal Bharat and to improve the expertise of the people from minority community. Now, Ustad scheme, Skill India mission is an accreditation tool in this direction. Setu scheme aim foster growth and innovation and entrepreneurship. The startup stand up is another policy of India. Then Nai Roshni, that instill the leadership qualities in the woman, must be mentioned while writing the answer, right? You can note it down while the video is on, or after that, seeing the PDF, you please note them so as to use them diligently while writing the answer. Then the same thing. So basically, earn while you learn is inclusive of the theme that not only the theory, but we need to have a practical lab. Not only for the chemistry or physics we can have the lab, but especially for humanity subject like history, for geography, for economy, the lab is to be there. If economy subject is there, then why can't we go to inculcate the real capacity in the student that these are the practical you need to do. So you need to be a marketing person. Can you not sell something with the convincing skills, and where will it be coming from if we are not teaching them, we are not making them to stand and speak. They will not be doing it in future too if they are themselves not made to do so from the family side or their own psychological driving force. Now coming to another question, can the vicious cycle of gender inequality, poverty, and malnutrition be broken through microfinancing of women self help group? तो यहाँ पे जो फैक्ट्स हैं जो हमें इसमें यूज करने हैं वो बेसिकली महिला आर्थिक विकास महिला मंडल, देन उमेद अभियान अंडर महाराष्ट्र डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ रूरल डेवलपमेंट स्टेट, रूरल लाइवलीहुड मिशन, and schemes such as Techashwini. These are the schemes, but apart from this, you have to tell about NRLM, which was started to support women self-help group especially, and this NRLM was co-financed by World Bank, right? And it has scaled up the self-help group model because इंडिया की भी गवर्नमेंट जानती है कि कहाँ पे करप्शन करना है और कहाँ पे नाम बदनाम हो सकता है. वर्ल्ड बैंक पिक्चर में आ रही है तो यूएन क्राई ज़्यादा होगी, पीयर सर्वे भी होगा, इंस्पेक्शन भी होगा, रिपोर्ट भी बनानी होगी. तो यहाँ पर बेसिकली थोड़ा सा अच्छा रिजल्ट हमें देखने को मिला. एंड 67 million women had the benefit out of it, and the women have saved $1.4 billion and leveraged a further 37 billion from the commercial banks. This is really good. We can cite. Then another scheme is Kudum Shri in Kerala to wipe out absolute abject poverty through the community action, and it is the largest women empowering project in the country, right? These are the components, but you need to cite the name for microfinancing of women self-help group. When we talk about self-help group, you need to define it. Then you talk about women, then you need to talk about the particular schemes, particular group of women in the agriculture sector, in the weaving sector, in the you can say small and medium enterprises. The government is talking about इसको हिंदी में बोल सकते हैं कुटीर उद्योग, जो छोटे छोटे डिस्ट्रिक्ट और स्टेट लेवल पर, नॉट स्टेट लेवल, दी विलेज लेवल पर जो काम होते हैं उन सब चीज़ों को. एंड यू कैन ऑल्सो राइट दैट गांधी जी वॉज टॉकिंग अबाउट चरखा. सो दिस वॉज द इकोनॉमी एट द इंडिविजुअल लेवल, कि वो सब्सिस्टेंस लेवल पर भी अपने लिए कपड़े बना सकता था और दूसरों के लिए भी कपड़े बना के बेच सकता था. दैट इज़ वाई गांधी जी वॉज नॉट इन फेवर ऑफ the heavy industry, which was part of Mahalanobis plan in second year 5-year plan supported by Chacha ji or Nehru ji, the then Prime Minister. Now coming to another question, that has digital literacy, particularly in rural area, coupled with lack of information and communication technology, accessibility hindered socio-economic development or not? I have told 1 or 2 line initially when I was giving the outlook, but yes, still, what all things and the chronology of the schemes that Government of India launched, we can see that in 2011, Bharatiya Net project was launched to connect 0.25 million panchayats throughout the country with 100 Mbps optical fiber infrastructure. So Jio, Airtel, you are having optical fiber, the very much speed we are having. So the same thing was there to connect every panchayat so as to have good reporting system. In 2014, government launched National Digital Literacy Mission and Digital Saksharta Abhiyan. It is very important for the illiterate villagers to tell that what the importance of this computer is all about. Not only the playing the games or seeing the picture, but many more things can be done using the computer. 2015, the government launched several schemes under Digital India campaign to connect the entire country, then you have to use PM ग्रामीण डिजिटल साक्षरता अभियान 2017 में लॉन्च किया गया फॉर डिजिटल लिटरेसी इन द विलेज एंड 60 मिलियन हाउस होल्ड के लिए. Now, if we see the importance realized by the government for digital literacy, the Supreme Court was also not far behind, and it has also told that having this digital literacy is part of someone's right to privacy, then one doesn't want to go out, especially the girl, and want to have education alone. This is something very much important, seeing the Indian society pattern, but also it is right to education coming as part of Article 21A. This is the directives of Supreme Court. Now, National Education Policy 2020, it also aims at India is to be a global knowledge superpower by introducing several changes from school to college level in Indian education system with a special emphasis on digital education. So Internet Sathi program, right, was launched in 2015 by Google India and Tata. So this was another good initiative coming from the private sector and the global giant. So it is very, very important to cite all these bullet points while writing the answer. And this is the not last but not the least very important one, optical fiber network, a project aimed to ensure broadband connectivity for 2 lakh gram panchayat of India. And in the other slides, I have shown CDEC also, we can look at. Now, Diksha Program, that digital infrastructure for knowledge sharing platform, is a national platform that you can write for the school curriculum. For all state, it is available 1 to 12. It was launched in 2017, one from class 1 to 12 tak, and e-Vidya was announced under Atmanirbhar Bharat program, and actually Diksha is one nation, one digital platform for school education that you need to cover as part of the digital things. Now Unnati project, you can write about it. Hindustan Petroleum Corporation, apart from the Tata, they have strived the bridge or to club the gap between the digital divides for the digital divide in the schools by giving rural students with poor economic and social background to access the computer education. They have sponsored it. Being part of the concept like Navratna or Mini Ratna, they have access profit with them and they can share it. Gyandut is another intra-based government to citizen concept, and it was in the Dhar district of Madhya Pradesh in January 2000 with the twin objective of providing relevant information to the rural population and acting as interface between district administration and the people. Now, digital mobile library is also there. In order to bridge the digital divide in the larger way, the government of India, in collaboration with CDAC based in Pune, and there are MOOC, Massive Open Online Course by NEOS, right? You can add, then Swayam portal you can add, and Air Siksha Vani you can add, e-Pathshala, radio broadcasting is being used for children, that is to be mentioned. Now, when I talk about the digital divide, digital illiteracy, the digital platforms, policies, and programs that are to be mentioned. But apart from this, you can mention that what are the pitfalls or the negative side of the story for it. The political dimension, you can that they are these resources are misused. Then these things are distributed as part of freebies also. Then third thing, you can have the misuse of it for the pornography, the Sex education is misused at the grassroots level, that you can cite. Then you can also cite the corruption, the leakages, because this infrastructure requires lots of money and this is giving good opportunity to the mediators, right? Now coming to the next question, that the women in post-independent India have excelled in various fields, the social attitude towards women in feminist movement has been patriarchal. Now, apart from women education and women empowerment scheme, what intervention can help change this mind? So 250 words, 15 marks. So you have to understand that systemic deprivation and violence against women, like rape, sexual harassment, sexual abuse, female feticide, infanticide, sati, dowry, death, wife beating, high female illiteracy, malnutrition, undernourishment, all the problems put together keep women confined to home, economically exploited, socially suppressed, and politically passive. So, if we need to club these problems, if we need to overcome such within challenges us, then we have to understand that what all innovation we can put. For example, selfie with daughter, we had put that tomorrow also your daughter will be at that same place with another man, what equation you are having with your woman. So the same treatment will be given to your daughter also, for whom you are very much emotional. And the woman related to you is also daughter of a man. You must understand this. First, you should not go for a relationship if you are not convinced. If you have done that, then please be on the same page, on the relevant in the relevant domain, so that you can fulfill the need. Now, women empowerment scheme and initiatives since independent India कौन से हैं? बेटी बचाओ, बेटी पढ़ाओ, वन स्टॉप सेंटर स्कीम, वुमेन हेल्पलाइन, उज्ज्वला योजना, वर्किंग वुमेन हॉस्टल, स्वदर ग्रह, then support to training and employment program for the women, that is STEP. Question was there by UPSC for this program earlier. Then Nari Shakti Puraskar, Mahila Shakti Kendra, Nirbhaya, Mahila E-Heart, Mahila Police Volunteers. Generally, in the police station nowadays in metro cities, you will be finding many people in civil dress, especially women in the front desk, talking to you in a very, very social and polite manner. These are the Mahila Police Volunteers. Now, apart from this, what all thing you can put here as part of the analysis? The attitude, especially in the urban elite class and in the rural area. If you think that urban elites are very much educated and they are not doing it, they are doing it. But women are quite assertive. They are not submissive like the women found in the villages. The problem is there in the village also, means in the city side also, but these things are not reported. But same level will be found, but many people are villagers, very less are elite in India. So few are rich and many poor people are there. So the attitude towards the woman empowerment movement here in India is patriarchal, in the sense that male is always thinking that when we are talking about power is to be given to a woman, what is my benefit? What is the benefit of the male group? It has to be a very neutral development, that it is not related to benefit related to the male society, but for the female only. Pati Parmeshwar is Panch Parmeshwar is the standard line today which is justifying this. Even if we talk about agriculture, the small and medium enterprises, will be finding in the last that the profit is of a man in family and man in general in the group. This you have to write. Then the last question of this paper is related to the civil society and NGO present an alternative model of public service delivery to benefit the common citizen. So this is a century of will be an era of NGO told by Kofi Annan, right? What all thing that we can put as part of this question, the movement related to NGO have made the government to function very effectively. Vishaka case, way back in 1992, Vishaka is the name of an NGO, not of the victim, right? This is one thing to begin with. Then, if we talk about the farmers' bill, the negative parts were withdrawn from Farmers' Bill, Farmers' Act, because of the voice that the farmers were expressing, because the protest that they have put, right, day and night in the winter, they were lying on the roads. Many people died. They have met with the police atrocities also, but police was not wrong because they have ordered from the political bosses, right? Now the civil society initiative have contributed to some of the path-breaking laws, जैसे Forest Right Act 2006, Right to Information Act 2005, then Environmental Protection Act 1986, Right to Education Act 2009, Ramakrishna Mission Home to Service. It was also part of some of the big body in Varanasi, right? Now, this is one thing. Then CRY aims to restore children right in India. Then, if we talk about today's the political dimension, also I will be telling you some of the bodies which are very honestly working to make you to know your neta so that you can give them the vote. You should know the assets held by them, the criminal records for them, so as to keep criminalization of politics in bay. So many NGOs are working with good sense, like in mm, like in UPSC domain also. Many NGOs, I will not name them, are working very honestly to impart education, making the education or the classes fee very affordable. Sometimes free if these are funded by other big industry. Now, apart from that, Bandhua Mukti Morcha or Bonded Labor Liberation Front (BLLF) is NGO in India working to end bonded labor. It has legally been banned in the country because of the dimensions they were using, which were not belonging to the welfare of the targeted section. People's Union for Democratic Rights (PUDR). This is the honest one I was talking about to give report about a particular candidate contesting election so that you should know about him or her. Now, for TADA and POTA, TADA means Terrorist Act Disruption Activities, POTA means Prevention of Organized Terrorist Activities. When we talk about Article 22, preventive detention, then we also understand that anyone and everyone, if arrested, should be prima facie guilty of something. But innocents are arrested unnecessarily, arbitrarily, making a law very kind of not meaningful law, then it is not good, right? So this is very much important, making NGOs and civil society relevant. You have to use it as an example that what all NGOs have come up so far to give good legislation, or the legislation was brought with certain uh, dark, pictures in them. These have been plugged. The motivation was, of course, the farmer bill. That is why the question has been asked. But all in all, I will say that if the governance and social justice, if you need to address, please balance your answer with only the 20% conventional area and 80% current affairs. Now, whatever current affairs you have read, whatever notes you have made, try to illustrate and substantiate your analysis and your stand by those examples. This is my humble request that whatever you write, you please justify by giving relevant example. evaluator, come what may, has to give the relevant and suitable marks. And this is the need of the exam also, demand of the question too. And with the best wishes, right, maybe I will be able to give you one more video for some of the relevant question, because I have made the promise earlier for the polity and social justice and governance, so that just you have the idea that these all questions can be there. The question will not be more than 5, or at best I will be giving you only 10 questions, and out of this let's see that how many questions are there. Apart from your revision, you just see those the upcoming video for those relevant questions that can be there. It may be there 5 days before your exam. By 10th or 11th I will be coming up with another video. Till then, bye bye, all the very best, stay healthy and be confident for whatever you are doing. Bye bye. Jai Hind.